Okay, baby. I've already made like 4 or 5 of these videos and completely screwed up. So I'm going to try to make it very simple because I was looking at them and I'm seeing what I'm doing wrong. I'm not making them very simple for you. But first thing I'm going to do is show you how to choose your character. I'm going to start from the very, very basics at the beginning. When you want to get here, I suggest you practice before you actually start playing anyone. The best thing to do in that particular case when you're on this game is you go down to where it says training. Okay, you push the A button, which is the green button on the remote, and it'll take you to this. You're not going to want to do tutorials. Actually, tutorials might actually be a good idea for you, but I'm not about to make you go through that because it can get pretty boring. We got challenges and then you got trials. I'll show you about trials later. Trials is where you actually learn some pretty useful combos, but they can get pretty complicated, so I'm not going to put you through that because they can actually get pretty hard. I'm going to try to make you get some bread and butter combos that aren't too hard. So go to training room. That's where you want to go. Don't worry about any of these attack information, all that. Just click start training mode. Very simple. You can pick here how many players you want to use. It doesn't matter about their power right now. You can see it says 1 super powerful character, 2 high powerful characters, 3 normal powerful characters. That doesn't matter. You're training. It's not going to make a difference. So I always go with the 3 because it gives me the opportunity to learn with 3 different characters. So we're going to go with the characters that you like the most. We're going to go with Eliza. Now, if you just push A to pick them, it'll give you just a random color. Don't do that. Push B to go back if you screw something up. Push the start button. If you push the start button, let me go back. It's actually not B to go back. I'm sorry. You have to push the back button to go back. Literally, if you look at the remote, you know how to see the remote. Then in the dead center of the remote, there's a button that says start, and then there's a button that says back. You have to click the back button. Okay. So, if you want to choose Eliza's specific skin color, you push start, and they'll give you these little light punch me inputs. Just scroll to the side. Just keep scrolling, and they'll give you different options for which different outfits you might like from her specifically. And you can go through those and pick your favorite, whatever you want. I have a few specifics that I really like, so we're going to go with one of those here. These are the assist moves that they do. You can give them a custom action, but don't worry about that. For now, just go with the very first one that they give you. And then we're going to go with the next girl that you seem to have an interest in, which is this girl here. Her name is Squiggly. I think you like her a lot.
Ready?
And we can go through here and see what we can find for her. We're going to go with that color right there. And again, we're going to go with the basic assist that they give us. And the other girl you seem to like was Miss Fortune, which is the cat lady. We're going to go with some kind of color for her. I don't know which one I want to go with yet. I'll go with this one. Okay, for your 2 high power, over here it's actually going to make you pick your which characters you want to play against. Just put 2. 2's fine, and then just pick any random ones that you want. We're going to go Beowulf, and we're going to go just make it just so it doesn't look, because I know some of these characters can be pretty appalling like her. So it doesn't look too bad. We'll go with these. It doesn't matter. Pick a random stage. It doesn't matter. So we're here. All right. Now there's one thing that I'm going to show you here. Pretty much basic movements of these games. I'm going to give you some pretty generic things about these games that you can apply to most of these type of fighting games. First and foremost, this is what's called a 2D fighting game. It's pretty much almost like a platformer. You remember the old school Marios that you used to throw little fireballs in? That were literally, that's what the platform was. You only went in one direction the entire game. You could go back, but it was difficult. Those games are called platformers, and these fighting games take that specific kind of system. But you have to keep in mind that the size of the fighting ground is not just the size of the screen. I can actually push this guy to a good amount of distance through this arena till he hits a corner. this would be a corner. But at the same time, you can you can move them to the other side, and vice versa. You can also just walk this guy back or fight him back, whatever, all the way back to the other corner. And there is another corner here that also stops, and you can usually trap characters in here with certain combos. Now, with that being said, I'm going to show you something very basic that I have to show you, because if you are practicing the movement around this platform, you're going to want to know how to get the character to the other side. The only way to get the character to the other side is to either jump over them or to throw them behind you. Now, in the corners, you can't jump over them because that's the corner. So you had only other choice in this particular aspect. And the only reason why I'm showing you this is for your training purposes, because I know there's going to be moments where you push the character to the corner and you're going to want to get them out. You have to grab the character. In order to grab the character, you have to push the light punch button and the light kick button, which on the remote is the X and the A, the blue and the green buttons. You push both of those and it'll do a grab, but it won't throw the character behind you. If you want to throw the character behind you, you have to push both of those buttons and push away from the character or behind you, and it'll throw the character behind you. Again, that is the light punch and light kick buttons, which are X and A, or the blue and green buttons on the remote. And you push those two buttons and away from you all at the same time. So it's 3 buttons you're pushing in total. And it throws the character behind you. But I can't jump over anymore. Now, another concept of this game, in order to learn certain moves, yes, there is a command list. If you push start, you go to the command list, and it will show you which characters you want to use. Just click current character. Don't do all characters, universal commands, just do current character. And this will show you specific moves that you can do with this character. And some of them get a little bit more complicated than others. You see these little blue buttons on the side? That means that you can just do those moves on their own with no issue. If you see this little arrow beside it, that means in order to do that, you have to already do the thing above it, which is this blue button. So in order to do, for example, a Warrior's Khopesh, you have to have already done this move, and you're doing this right after it. So this gets a little bit complicated, but don't pay too much attention to this. But any of these other moves that you see, these basic ones right here, don't pay attention to the color. The color is misleading. The colors that are on these buttons are not the same colors that you're going to have on the remote. So don't pay attention to that. What you do need to know is what light punch, medium punch, hard punch, light kick, medium kick, and hard kick are. That's what you need to know. And that I'm going to show you is actually very simple. So you push B to go back, and just keep pushing B to go back, and you're back at this screen. So light punch is going to be the X button, or the blue button, okay? Medium punch is going to be the Y button, or the orange button on the remote, okay? That's the medium punch. And then the hard punch is going to be the right bumper. So the button at the very top of the remote, the very top one, that button right there, is going to be the right bumper. That's the hard punch. Now, it almost goes identical to the kicks. So light kick is going to be A, which is the green button. Medium kick is going to be B, which is the red button. And then hard kick is going to be the right trigger. The buttons that are at the top, the bigger one. The bigger one on the right hand side. So that'll be the right trigger. That'll be hard kick. That's what hard kick does. Alright? Now, if you go back to these command lists, you'll see these specific moves. As an example, Osiris Spiral. You see that quarter moon backwards, and it says kick. Now the reason why it says kick is because it doesn't matter which kick button you do, it's still going to do the same move. However, I will show you one thing that does change. But the other ones, for example, this one says forward moon forward, quarter moon forward, and light kick. It has to be specifically that light kick. If you do a medium kick, it'll do the next trick. A hard kick will do the other trick. See that right there? It's not going to be the same. So in those particular ones, it's a specific button that you have to hit. For this move right here, all you have to do is it just says kick. Any kick button will do it. But I want to show you something that's very interesting. This specific move is a backwards quarter moon and any kick button. If you're over here, and by the way, the way I got out of that was just pushing start. If I just push start, it goes back immediately. So a quarter moon backwards, and I'm going to do a light kick, and you'll see what it does. Very simple, right? If you do a medium kick, it does it for a little bit longer. A couple more hits. If you do it for a hard kick, it does it a little bit differently. So that's the whole purpose of why they have light kicks, hard kicks, and medium kicks, because it changes the intensity of the combo. So again, we're going to do a backwards quarter moon and a light kick, backwards quarter moon and a medium kick, and a backwards quarter moon and a hard kick. I'm going to go back to the command list. Now we're going to show you these. So you got Throne of Isis, Dive of Horus, and Weight of Anubis. Now see, these are all quarter moon forwards. One is a light kick, one is a medium kick, and one is a hard kick. Right? So we're going to check that out. Quarter moon forward. Light kick does this.
Cover me. You bore me.
Quarter moon forward medium kick does this.
Give up.
Quarter moon forward and hard kick does this. Again, quarter moon forward and light kick. Quarter moon forward medium kick. And quarter moon forward hard kick. So that is pretty much the basics of how these games work. One other basic factor and feature that you need to know is how to change in between characters. In this game, it's a little bit more difficult to change in between characters than it was with Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm not going to explain how that was because I don't want to confuse you. I'm just going to explain how this one works. So in order to change characters, you can do one of two things. But it's a sequence of buttons that you have to hit, but it's entirely up to you on which ones you want to hit. But you have to hit both the Y and B button at the same time, or both the right bumper and right trigger at the same time. And depending on which one of those you push, a different character will come out. As an example, we're going to push the Y and B, which is the orange and the red button, on the remote one time. We push them together. It changes to this girl, as an example. You push those same two buttons again, it changes back to Eliza. But if you keep pushing these same two buttons, you will only be switching between those same two characters. So you still won't get the third character no matter how many times you do this. So how do you bring out the third character? You have to push the right bumper and the right trigger at the same time, and it switches out to the different character. You push them again, switches back out to that other character. And you can keep switching back and forth. Or you can push the Y and B buttons and switch back and forth between these two things. So that's pretty much my very first Basics 101 of how these games function. I'm going to stop here and review this and see what else you need to know so that you can start getting to play. But you need to know these basics at the very, very, very least. Okay? I love you. Bye.